Hello. So today I'm going to be talking about All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. This novel was first published in 2014 and it won a Pulitzer Prize. However, this novel completely passed me by. I didn't even know of its existence, so I have no idea what I was doing in 2014 and 2015. I mean, I didn't used to keep up on all of the kind of awards and things back then. I just read books that I fancied reading, so I didn't keep up with the zeitgeist, so that's probably why I missed this one. I want to say thank you to my friend David for recommending it. He said it is one of his favourite books. So I said, you know what? Won a Pulitzer Prize, I'd never heard of it, and then started doing some Googling, started looking into it, and my lord, this novel is loved by a lot of people. Now, I'm not too sure exactly what I can add to the conversation, probably not much, but I read it, so I'll review it. This novel is set during World War II, and we follow two main protagonists, Marie and Werner. Marie is a young blind French girl, and Werner is a young German boy, an orphaned German boy who lives in an orphanage with his sister. We follow their journey from young children to around their mid-teens, and it jumps back and forwards in time, centering around this one main event taking place in Nazi-occupied France. There is a subplot involving Marie's dad and a Nazi officer who is looking for something. It's got very much got kind of Indiana Jones vibes going on with that little subplot, and it's all sort of building and merging together as the novel continues. So I'm going to break my review down into kind of like three simple areas: what I loved, what I liked, and what I didn't quite like. What I loved, well, the writing is absolutely delicious. It is broken down into these kind of very small chapters, like tiny chapters. Like, I think the longest chapter in this might be only like 5-6 pages. Like, the chapters are very short and we jump back and forth very quickly. But my god, Anthony Doerr is doing such an amazing job with such a little amount of page space. The writing is so beautifully poetic and descriptive, and just sort of reading it, I've said it before, it's my go-to. It's just like sinking into a nice warm bath or cuddling up with, a duvet that's been freshly changed. I don't know, it's just so lovely, and you kind of really just wrap yourself up in the kind of the descriptions of places, and the flow of the writing in general just really takes you away. Anthony Doerr has done a fantastic job, and that is not easy to do. I also loved the characters. I thought the characters in this were incredibly well rounded. We really got to grips with kind of even all of the side characters, like Marie's dad, Marie's uncle, the lady who works for Marie's uncle. We've got Werner and the lady who runs the orphanage, and his sister and his fellow people who he serves with. We kind of, all these characters, even though we're given such sort of like snippets of especially the side characters, it's so beautifully written that you get a real kind of sense of their purpose, their aims, their place, their ethics in a very short amount of time. And finally, I really loved the structure of this book. That goes back to the idea of, the way it was structured, the very short chapters, the dueling perspective thing, and it all sort of converging and meeting, and the crossover isn't anything new. I've read many books that kind of do this, but what was really interesting was that decision to make the chapters so short. I mean, this lends itself perfectly to be turned into a movie or a TV show, which I think Netflix are doing. I think Netflix are doing it, and they might be using a blind or partially sighted girl to play Marie, which I think is just amazing. But as I was saying, the structure is great. It really moves. It really keeps going, and it keeps you hooked and drawn in, and it builds a wonderful sense of place, a wonderful sense of location. And because of the short chapters, the moments of tension in this novel, the kind of thrillery aspects of it, really do start to kind of build as things are sort of slowly coming to a head. And I thought that was done incredibly well. So what I thought was good and what I didn't quite like are kind of combined, really. So I thought the story that was being told between these two characters was good. I thought it was good. I could see the author had decided to make a decision to keep this as a small World War II story. I mean, it's 550 pages or so long, so it is fairly large. So I was expecting something quite epic in the plot and in the grandness of everything it would cover. But because of the style and the way it's written, it's very intimate. It's the event that we're following is the main thing, and that's not, as I said, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's something I wasn't expected. I thought this was going to be a big, huge, sprawling epic of a novel that would take us like really far and wide, and the characters would go on massive journeys and that kind of adventure thing. But it really didn't do that. It kept things really intimate, and I thought that was good. I thought that gave us a really kind of personal look at this small moment that's happened, this small connection between two characters, these lives that are almost inconsequential to everything else that is happening. But I felt myself, and now I'm getting on to what I didn't like, that it didn't push far enough. It was my only thing. I wanted a little bit more. I thought Anthony Doerr did such an incredible job of building these characters, of building our empathy for these characters, especially Werner, who, you know, we're caring for this child who is clearly, you know, in the German army and is getting wrapped up in their kind of politic, and we know that we shouldn't really be rooting for the Germans in a World War II story, but Anthony Doerr has played it very nicely in the sense that he makes Werner human, and we understand and we feel his resistance to everything that's happening around him, and how he is just doing what he's good at, without really, because he's too young, thinking about the implications of what he is doing. And he has a heart, and we really connect with that. I really wanted it to push further than it did. I felt like I loved the writing of this book so much. I loved the characters so much. I would have stuck with this novel for another 500 pages. Easy. Absolute easy. And we could have gone on a much more grand journey. Now, to do that, I think I'm just talking about the things that I enjoy. And I actually think that could possibly take away from the smallness, the intimacy of the story that Anthony Doerr is trying to create. It becomes more plausible, more realistic. We buy into it more if it is just this small moment and it's not a big sprawling epic. But he did such a good job. I just wanted, it didn't have to be too much more. I just wanted to travel a little further with them, to go on a little bit more of an adventure with them, which I didn't get. I think this is a thriller as opposed to literary fiction, really. I think it sits much more in the thriller camp. It gave me much more those kind of vibes, which is why I think I'm craving something that pushes a little further away from realism, that goes into the epic and the adventurous a little bit more and buys into that thriller genre. Now, people may disagree with me. People might be like, this is literary fiction, it won the Pulitzer Prize, but I just don't agree. I think it's a thriller, especially the German soldier and Marie's dad, and the whole looking for a sort of hidden treasure. I won't go too much into spoilers, but once you read it, or if you've read it, you'll know. But yeah, that was my only gripe, really. Overall, I thought this was a really, really good book. Like 4 stars for me. Excellent writing, a really interesting structure. I connected so beautifully to the characters. The flow of the writing, the poetry of the writing, and the way the story built was just excellently executed. I just have that one small gripe that I think it could have been pushed just a little bit further. But overall, what a great book. I'm glad my friend David recommended it to me. I can't believe I'd never heard of it. I must have been living under a rock. But there you go. 4 stars. Really good. And there you have it. That's my incredibly rambly review of All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. As always, this is a new channel. If you liked that, that absolute ramble fest, then maybe subscribe. It's entirely up to you, but it does help me out, I think. And if you give a thumbs up and all that, it gets more people to see it. So that would be great. But, you know, whatever. There's loads of us on here. And if you have watched and you don't subscribe, we'll still thank you for watching. Nice. All right, everyone. I'm going to crack on and head off to work. I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you on the next one.